Welcome, guys. This is Serious Banta, and today we are speaking on Nigerian parenting styles, stereotyping. You know, we're not going to talk about. Well, we're not going to say that there were flaws. We're not going to talk about the way they raised us and the effects.
Are we not?
What?
Are we not?
The flaws. You want to call them flaws? I mean, if you have flaws, you can speak on flaws. I'm not going to talk about. Well, my own personal opinion is I won't talk about flaws because I feel there's a psychological background to the way they acted towards us. Okay. Because some of our parents grew up during the Civil War, they lost family members. So a part of them, like now, we'll speak on how they showed love. You know, there's a misconception that Nigerian parents don't know how to show love. The way they flogged us and with them, the way they taught us discipline with caning, is that physical abuse?
Sorry.
Yeah?
That's perfect. Because
no, wait, you. I'm not done. I want to list out a lot of things first, and then we'll go ahead. You know, the way they taught us discipline with caning and punishments. Is that abuse? You know, they never told us about sexual education. We had to go and learn it outside. You know, career paths. They had to. Most of our parents thought it was their job to align our futures for us because we didn't know any better. Or they think we don't know any better. You know, so I just wanted to address all those things. If you think there were flaws in them, let's hear it out. If you think there's a reason why they raised us that same way, let's share it out. Who wants to go first? I believe you want to jump ahead of it.
I think Odie has something to say. If I may, I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, you had, obviously
only because you spoke about discipline.
Yeah. Okay.
And discipline was key for me because I feel like, in my own personal opinion, excuse me, can I finish what I'm saying before you interrupt? Discipline for me is like, there are two ways it goes, you know, in Nigeria, from what I've understood. There's discipline and there's punishment. Now, discipline for me is correcting your child when he has a problem. That, in my opinion, is discipline. Punishment is making your child feel like he is wrong for having a problem. And I feel like us as individuals, I'm not a parent, so I don't know, but I feel like us and the way I've grown up is I want to be a problem solver and I want my child also to be a problem solver, you know? But us in Nigeria, we go with retribution. I feel like we don't need to go with retribution because we also know that people, you are a man as well, Demilade.
Yes,
you have grown up and you know that we have problems every day.
Wow.
Know? So you have to make sure that your child knows he's going to have problems and he has to know how to solve those problems.
Now, to address, first I want to talk about, to brush what you said, I like two things he said. He's not a parent, and we all need to realize and remember that we are not. That's why I said I don't want to talk about the way they raised us, it being flawed, or because we said something off camera earlier. There's no perfect parent. Truth be told, our parents didn't know what they were doing.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't want to say that, that's their styles was like bad or anything. They didn't know any better, but they thought they were actually giving us their best. So that was a very good point when he said he's not a parent. And yeah, so who else wants to?
I'm just gonna add to what Demilade said when it comes to showing love. You know, my dad never told me he loved me. I don't know if anyone's dad ever told them.
Normal level of you.
So, you know, they have this really strict way of doing things. But my mom, on the other hand, there was a few things that she did that I always knew that, okay, this woman, she always looked out for me. Like, for instance, if I had any exam, JAM, SSC, my mom would wake me up in the morning. She would drive me to my exam center. She would wait for me. She could easily go back home and, you know, maybe do something else. She would wait for me, you know, till I'm done. She'd get me food. Like, daily I come out after I know there will be food waiting for me. So, I mean, she necessarily didn't have to say, But, you know, those small things that, you know, those are things you should know that, okay, I mean, it's your responsibility as a parent, to be honest, but, you know, those are the little things that, you know, you could just pick out and be like, yeah, I think, you know, she really looks out for me and all of that. So when it comes to the way of showing emotion for parents, maybe probably because they were brought up in the 60s, they were brought up in the 50s, they were brought up in the 70s. You know, when you watch all these Yankee shows and you see all these, they are, you know, I love you, you know, you're feeling that, why did my parents do this thing to me? That, you know, is this what I'm missing out? But, you know, when I look at myself now and say, did that really affect me growing up? You know, me not being told how much I was loved, you know, me not being showed. You know, if you mess up like this, if your parents are driving and you're seated in the front seats, once you've offended like this, you can just be driving, next thing, slap, toes out, go just spit your face, shake it. But, you know, that's how they feel, you know. Discipline has always been a very, you know, I remember.
So do you think that's normal? Because you feel like you're comfortable with, you know, parents being aggressive to their children?
Well, basically, we're a product of our environments. Basically,
I like that line.
The African parents, the average African parents believe in, you know, spare the rod, spoil the child. So when it comes to, you know, that particular aspect, I think he actually had a positive influence on me, and I do not regret it in any way.
He has already shown that he doesn't even understand what spare the rod and spoil the child means.
To be honest,
it's all about discipline. They didn't say go and brush your child. And this is already to show you that he stole. This is something we spoke about on camera. We were talking and I said, okay, look at the things I'm going to talk about. And then he came here and he's now talking about things that he doesn't understand.
Wow. Okay, I want Debomi to speak and then Jasmine, you're going to go next. But you said something about you not understanding spare the rod and spoil the child. And fam, doesn't mean brush your child. Spare the rod and spoil. It's a figure of speech meaning discipline your child. Doesn't mean harm your child because they did something wrong. Basically. So
wait, sorry, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do your parents brush you?
brush you.
Yeah, like she you now, she you. Like cane, like flog you in the cane.
Okay, no. So my father never touched any of us.
Okay.
Probably because he felt like he was
kill you. Yeah.
Probably kill us. My mother also had the same concept that if I get angry, with my anger, if I touch you children, I may end up in jail. But she had rules. We broke them. We needed discipline.
Okay.
So she had a wooden spoon, and she will beat us 3, 4, 5 strokes. When we start crying, she will now make us cold Milo. I mean hot Milo. We sit down in our bed.
Never
comfort us after.
She flogged you.
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
But my mother being a doctor, she understands psychology of she understands parental psychology. If you're going to discipline your child, if your child does something wrong, it's called conditioning. You need to show the child. You need to let the child know that there are consequences for their actions, and that's how life is. You can't just go out because we are all older now. We know that life literally flogs us every day. Not on our body, but you wake up one morning and a text, an email from work, a phone call, one client, so somebody has messed up your entire day. That's life. Life literally hits you every single day. So it's literally a style of maybe parenting style that look, fam, when you get old, I'm going to let you get your own, make your own decisions, and there are going to be consequences for it. This is where you learn. Charity begins at home. Doesn't mean physically brush your child and injure them and then mentally disorient them and everything and berate them and tell them that, they're just wrong and they're bad children. No.
So for example, now, I just want to, obviously, I know that we're talking about the Nigerian style of parenting. Yeah. If you look at the flip side, where in like Yankee or Jan, where if like my brother, for example, is in Yankee, if you just she said, I'm gonna call the cops. Like in that situation, right? Like I'm just looking at it as two extremes. If what would we rather? Do you understand? Obviously, they have that. Because if you also think about it, there are cases of people that the beating is not even that much. We've watched some films that they just beat, maybe slap the child one slap, and the child's like, "Oh my God, when I grow up, I'm going to become the slapper," and he's going to maybe be slapping people. Do you understand? It's like, okay, I mean, it's necessary, but like, where do you draw the line? Because you were saying flogging, you were saying brushing.
Debomi needs to speak, please.
Okay.
Debomi, please speak.
It's thrown out to everybody.
First, I did not grow up with my parents. I moved out of my parents' house when I was like 5 years old. I lived with my aunt. So I cannot. When I was moved out.
Oh, I say this. I say it. I was moved out of
my parents' house when I was 5 years old. I grew up with my aunt. So I can't say that my parents. My aunt beats the fuck out of me, but she did that to her daughter. But she did that to her daughter as well. So it's not like it was just me. Apart from that, when it comes to, it's not just about sparing the road and spoiling a child or flogging a child or brushing a child, but it's about, like, at the end of the day, showing love, being able to feel loved. I did not feel that, but it's not my aunt's fault because she probably didn't know how to show it. I mean,
did she show it to your?
I don't know.
Can I please say something? I think you get the gist of what you're trying to say. She's not done.
You shouldn't do that.
So, I mean, growing up in my aunt's house, she used to beat me. But she used to beat my cousin, so that's her daughter. But I was 5. I felt like if I grew up with my parents, that wouldn't have happened. So I went back into my shell. I was a complete introvert growing up. I never used to talk to people. I still don't know how to talk to people as much as I would like. But when I moved back to my parents' house, I was still like that until my parents now started talking to me. I actually saw that my parents are not the stereotypical Nigerian parents. Actually, my mom will not get off the phone until I say I love you back. If I don't say I love you back, she will call me back and ask me what is wrong.
Okay, so
yeah.
Can I talk?
Jumoke, I said Jumoke.
Who is Jumoke? Excuse me, Jumoke.
Falake is going next, but I want all of us, once she speaks, we're going to speak about if physical discipline, like, had any effects to our growth, our developments, and I'm also going to address the flip side that Shaitan spoke about. So, Falake, please let's hear your thoughts.
So, because I grew up in a household that didn't have a lot of physical discipline, I've always thought that it was abuse. But in growing up, and now that I'm an adult and I've been around children and I've been left alone with children, I feel like
be brushing them.
I feel like it's an individual thing. It's different with every child. Now, my mom had a child when I was 12 years old. So a lot of the time I was left alone with her and I raised her and everything. So she is the kind of child that if you tell her at the age of 5, she's not going anywhere. You tell her she's grounded, she will cry and she will beg. She will be crying, she'll be upset. That is enough of a punishment for her. Now, I have another cousin who's close to age of her. He's a boy. He grew up in England, and when he would come to our house and stay, I would try the same effect on her. The same effect on him. You're grounded. And he would laugh at me. Where am I going to? I'm grounded. Grounded where? He didn't care. The only thing that helped with him is if you was him. And when I realized that, I started woozing him and he started behaving himself. So it's individual to another child. If I hit my sister, she would probably go into her shell like Debomi. Do you get? Like, she would probably have it would have a bad effect on her. But with him, it works because he is already troublesome. He's a bit, I don't know whether you would say it's advanced. I don't think it's a gender thing. It's just very important for us to know who our children are. Understand that they're human beings with their own personalities and react according to that, and not just have this preconceived notion about how you're going to parent your child, because we're not parents yet, so we don't know what we're going to do.
You raised 2 points, and I'm going to take it back to what Debomi said. Now, you asked a very important question, why she left her parents' house, and she gave us the reason why. How many of you believe that at 5 years old, in that kind of situation, it will have a psychological effect on her? And her behavior.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she probably acted out, which caused her auntie to beat her.
Right? Also.
Yeah, also.
And it's also because it's not coming from her parents.
Exactly.
It's coming from an outside, not an outsider, but it's not her mom.
Family. Yeah, if it came from my parents, I don't think I would have felt the way I felt.
Yeah, because it's even normal.
I felt like, oh, nobody loves me. My parents are not here.
Sorry to cut you. It's just normal. Like now, your mother, for example, because I'm very sure it's mothers that really flogged us here. So your mother, for example, if someone else eats you, she can go crazy.
Yeah.
My own mom was talking for me. Like, my mom would be so mad, but she can eat you. She believes that, okay, I will beat you, so that if you mess up, I'll be the one to beat you. Not one neighbor trying to beat.
Oh, don't get me. I got into trouble for beating that boy, but I had to do it. That's all I could do to get him to listen to me.
Well, Jasmine had something to say earlier.
Well,
I think listening to
Listening to what all of you have said, I think I need to thank my dad for raising me the way I am. Because right now, I feel like I had the best dad. You know, being the only son, and I had sisters around me was different.
Do you feel he gave that same treatment
Because
to your
you were
sisters?
the only son?
Yeah. My dad is a partial person. Even if you meet him today,
He's not a sexist.
nah, he's not.
How you sure?
So literally, like, we literally always did things by ourselves. So when I was growing up, I used to have this, because obviously people say, oh, the only boy. They try to, like, even not my dad or mom, people from outside, was like trying to pamper me and all that. You know, it's just like getting into my head. So I remember one day that I was at home and my dad told me to go do something in the kitchen. And I remember so well that I told him that, Dad, I can't get into the kitchen. Kitchen is actually for the girl.
Yeah, I imagine you saying that.
And my dad was mad. He was like, what did you just say?
What, nigga? What, nigga?
And he said, you know what? From
Nigga,
today
what?
on, you'll be the one going to the market. You'll be the one cooking. If you don't know how to cook, don't worry, salt is too much. We'll teach you how to. You know, understand? So I started being, I thought my dad was wicked. To be honest, growing up then, I thought my dad was actually really wicked, because I realized that my mom doesn't go to the market. It's always me and my dad. My sisters, they will sit down and be, you understand? I didn't know it was training me. You know, it was when I grew up, I realized that, man, thank you, Dad. You know what I'm saying? I didn't understand.
So was it for you that time? Like,
no. My dad is someone that you can't even tell my sister she's stupid. You can't try it.
No, please, let me just ask.
One second. My dad would say, you can't tell your younger sister she's stupid. If you tell her, you're in trouble. So my dad put that into her. That's why I see a lot of guys eat their girls or their girlfriends or whatever. Do you understand? Just like, I can't eat a woman because I was trained not to even say you're stupid to a girl.
But we see, I think that we understand what you're trying to say. We actually
Thank you for speaking for us, Odin.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. I understand. Maybe they are not quite there yet. I understand what you're trying to say. Okay? In a nutshell, the way I think about this situation is that it's subjective. Because a lot of you have spoken, but I can tell you that my upbringing was not the same way.
I don't think anybody here thought it was the same. But
No, that's fine. Just not the same way I have to say.
I'm just being nosy right now.
I was relaxing when guys were talking.
I'm just being
I was
nosy
out
right
here
now.
just chilling.
That's okay.
In all fairness, Jasmine was going to say something.
Okay, Jasmine, you can have the floor.
Yes, so in fact, growing up was a hustle because, in fact, to be honest, having my dad not around for like almost 10 years, having to have like health issues as a young child, and my mom having to do with terrible in-laws and her finding herself and just trying to put these children together. She didn't show me love. My mom started showing me love like 3 years ago. Like physical, I love you, Jasmine. Like my mom would literally be like, she would hit me with like plastic, but break it on my head. Wow. And I was so angry. Like I would go out, I would cry. Because I was already an introvert. I already didn't like people. But in fact, I was sick and most of my friends were in the hospital. Like the nurses, the doctors, like my family doctors, like they were my friends. I go to school and I blank out. And then the teachers would complain. And my mom, she knew that there was a problem, but she was scared to attack the problem. And I hated the fact that you know that I am like you, but why are you so scared to attack the problem? Right? Talk to me. Tell me that, Jasmine, I understand you. You only let me feel it. I need you to open your mouth. I'm so short of love that I can't show a man love. If you are depressed, go to a fucking therapist. Yes, because I was 5 and my mother would tell me brace up. I thought I was literally manning up, but then I met another side of my dad, and that one is like, man, forget. See, I can't sit in a chair. My dad would be like we are all laughing. Kaka, why are you laughing? Are you mad? Don't laugh near me like that. I can't pick up the phone because my dad is answering. Who are you talking to? And we are 20, like how old? 21, 22, 23. My sister's like 28. Literally, my dad will enter, boom, my hair. It's my house. I can open the door. Yes, I'm the man of the house. Wow. And you see, it's so hard to actually, train my brother because he's older than me. And then when he does certain things to me, and I'm like, Coco, how far? Yeah, you can see he's sorry, but he's seen my dad do those things. There's so much sexism in households that my dad will tell you are a woman. He literally told me I won't get married because I don't know how to cook. Fuck it, I don't know how to cook. Yeah,
Like die. Are those like qualities of a good woman? Fuck that shit. What's that? Why are you giving ignorance an excuse for bad parenting? Because our parents know that we'll keep on saying, it's during the war time, this, that, and we're just giving excuses for bullshit. Tell them to their faces. You don't need to be ignorant. Okay, you're ignorant. Well, yeah, learn.
Odi, please, do you have anything to add?
I don't have anything to add to this topic. But I'm not going to add because if I decide to add now, then the women here may just come from.
No, express yourself.
No, you know, fullness of expressions. I do not understand a lot of things because I'm not a perfect human being. I only understand what I understand. I cannot speak for you. I cannot speak for you. I speak for me.
Definitely.
And the way I was brought up was good for me.
Yeah.
They didn't beat me. The only people that may have beaten me were people that were hired to beat me. So you know what's your job? You know when parents hire you a nanny. So your parents will not beat you themselves, but the nanny will beat you. And she will force food down. Then we used to force like 10 loaves of bread down. I can remember 10 loaves of bread.
That's child abuse.
That's why I'm looking so big, man. No, they used to force food down my throat back then. Those are the things that I suffered.
That's child abuse. I hope
it was child abuse, but I enjoyed it.
How did you enjoy it?
Because I don't want your own child abuse. I like my own. Let them force me to eat rather than beat me.
We still talk about parents neglecting.
No, but in all honesty, I understand everything, and I'm very sorry for your plight and the things that you went through.
You don't need to be sorry.
All right, guys. We're going to go on a break now. We'll be back shortly. There's a whole lot more to talk about. I'm quite enjoying this topic.
See you
in the gym.
We're calm.
Yes. And we're back on Serious Banta. We're talking about Nigerian parenting stereotypes. And we've been talking about discipline and how they show love or the lack thereof. We're going to move on to discussing them trying to pick our career paths and our futures.
Oh my God.
And then them also not telling us about sex.
Okay, let me start, please.
Yes, please go ahead.
So, my father from the beginning was like, because my dad works in ExxonMobil. So I was like, yo, you have to work in ExxonMobil. You have to be an engineer, this, make sure it's science class you go to, you have to do this, you have to do that. So I entered uni and I actually like design. I would rather be an architect, but I didn't want to be an engineer. Do you understand? But he wanted me to do that. He was like, I have to be an engineer so that I can work where his other colleagues, their children are working in Mobile as well. Yeah, I think they have slots and all of that. He was like, I need to be an engineer. And that wasn't my path. So thank God I'm still okay today because I've low-key diverted to design. That's what I really, really, really was my first love. So I'm happy for that. So that career path thing is like an issue. I think personally, like you have to really see what your child enjoys doing.
Yeah. Now, can I talk about understanding?
I think that career path thing, it's always, most times the parents that do 9 to 5 are mostly parents that actually choose career paths for kids, most of them. I think if your parents are entrepreneurs, I think they actually give it like a free mind. For me,
I think you should.
For me, because
that's better.
Because you know why I said that. My mom did a 9 to 5, and my dad was an entrepreneur. My mom was always trying to choose a career path for us. My dad is just do whatever I want to do. While I was growing up, I said I wanted to be a soldier. My dad started calling me, and his uncle started calling me John Dam. Later, I said, no, I don't want soldier again. I want to be a police. Do you understand? So my dad didn't have a problem. Even when I was going into school. Even after JSS3, I think that's when we went to SS1, we go to science class and commercial. My dad was open to anything I wanted to do. I told my mom, commercial, okay, last class I want to do accounting. Or my mom said, no, I have to go to science class. There's only those that go to commercial and arts class.
They had that.
Do you guys? My dad was like, I should do whatever I want to do. At the end of the day, my mom wasn't really too into the school I went to. My dad was always there for me, come to see me every second. You're good. And many times I used to see my mom, Julia, but my dad was always do whatever you have to do, da. Even when I go into uni,
my dad was like, okay, anything that I really want to do, I should do. Even to today that I'm an entrepreneur. And recently, my mom just said to me that, oh, thank God I didn't really force you. And I'm happy that you followed your dad's path.
That's what I wanted to say. I think a lot of it has to do with ignorance and lack of understanding. They can't see the bigger picture. Now, I was watching David's interview with Ibro, and he was saying how his dad wanted him to just go to school.
Yeah.
Do you get? But then as soon as he blew, his dad now bought him his studio and bought him everything. His dad
David's story is actually very crazy. I'm sure.
It's crazy. His dad couldn't see it. It's a lack of understanding.
Is that even thinking like?
Do you take the time to sit down with your parents and explain to them what exactly your vision is?
My mom was there when I was filling my jam form. She saw when I wrote creative art on my jam form. 1 year later, when I was in 100 level, my mom called me and she traveled back to England. She called me and said, Tibomi, there are no jobs here for people that study creative arts. Don't you think you should go to science class? I'm like, Mom, if I'm going to go to science class, I have to go back to secondary school, right? I have to go and study science courses. Then I have to write jam again. My mom she was open to the idea. I was trying to explain to her, so she said, "Oh yeah, no, it doesn't make sense."
You can't also, I mean, what for like I said is right, but you can't also blame them because if you think about it, there are so many jobs. Yeah, there's so many jobs that exist now that didn't exist 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I
there was no Instagram, there was no Facebook. Like
I get that.
I'll give an example
I don't think it was out of ignorance. I feel like she was just trying to look out for me. She was just trying to.
It's not ignorance to be honest.
It's not ignorance.
Yeah, because there was a time that just being a doctor or being a lawyer is all that
the fact that they probably were trying to live their second lives through you.
No, she wasn't trying to do that.
Because they don't. My dad wanted me to. Like, if my dad had a way, everybody in that house would study law. The day I was feeling after junior WAEC, creative art. Sorry, I wanted to go to art class because I wanted to do mass communication. My dad was looking at me. I wrote. My dad dazed me. Oh God!
Is your dad an entrepreneur or?
He's a lawyer.
That's the thing. Most times that's what happens.
He said I'm mad. He screamed down the whole school down. He was like, "What do I want to do with my life?" Till today, that I study political science. My dad says I am not a professional. Like, my dad does not believe whatever money you're bringing in, as long as you're not lawyer, doctor, engineer. He sees
that's what communication and dialogue between parents and children needs to be established. It's not just children do what your parents say. That doesn't work because clearly it has affected us as a generation across board. So we love our parents, but we also have our feelings as children.
I do feel like that's definitely an ignorant thing. He can't see any
just ignorance. Yeah, because
I think it's more than being ignorant, to be honest.
No, listen, I understand.
Actually, the bigger picture.
Definitely. I'm with you on ignorance. I want Fafo to talk, Odi, and then Sheito.
Pretty much when it comes to, career path for, they always want you to do something professional. I remember I didn't have a say when I was filling out my university form. It was pretty much my dad, My brother was studying something engineering related. My sister studied law, all very professional courses. But I just want to take us back. I don't mean to digress. I just want to take us back a bit. So when it comes to the positive effects of disciplining your child. Okay, in GS2, I switched schools from King's College to ISL. So ISL, I was in ISL, I was seeing girls every day. That didn't used to happen to me in Casey. So I think it all got into my head. So by the time my first term results came out, background, red by room, normal. My dad brushed me. You know the type of brushing that you pack your bags that you say, I'm going to leave this house. I'm not doing this. That brushing, I feel it had a positive influence on me because when it was time for that second term exam, I mean Jack pass.
But that's fear.
I don't want me to
you give room to fear.
But fear is not always a bad thing.
It's a bad thing when it's from someone that should give love. Why should you be afraid? Why couldn't he bring you down and say, before you see this, that, you have to, there's positive impacts on this. By communicating.
Do you know
that? Using anger and fear to instill in your child. You grow with fear.
Jasmine, sorry. I said something earlier on the show. And I said that there's a difference between discipline and punishment. Now, discipline
Punishment is what they give to criminals and people that have done wrong things.
Okay,
Criminals that have done bad things. That is what the criminals don't use. You can't punish your child. You can discipline. Punishment is, see, people forget the psychological. You know, you see, I'm telling you, it's mental. Even when we're even going for, we're not even talking about verbal abuse. Your mother calling you are mad, you're stupid. Do you know what it means for your mother to call you you're mad?
Or curses, basically.
Or curses, or like, are you a stupid human being? Are you deaf? Like, it's bad. Because you see, when you grow up and you have a man telling you you are mad, you become so aggressive. And then I see this one, she has not knocked in 10 weeks. That's why she's aggressive.
Damn. In a nutshell, you know, I think parenting is it's not easy.
It's not easy. Tricky,
even without being,
there's no manual for it. Yeah, that's deep. Ignorance is deep.
Even without being a parent, you know that it's not an
crazy
thing, because all of us are different characters and we've all gone through, you know, the adolescent stages of doing crazy things.
Yeah.
All of us here can factually say facts that we have done crazy things. You know, so I mean, it's not easy, and it's just the way it is. Right? And, you know, I mean, I'm not going to hold anybody to the fact that they did this or they did that, because there's no right way to be a parent.
Even pushing you to be a lawyer, I feel like they're embracing your interest. So it's because of what they know. If you look at our industry, a lot of these people, like Faust is a lawyer. Bisola is a lawyer. Kemi Adesiba, biggest director. She is a lawyer. The minute they see that you are assertive or you are confident or you're outspoken, they think law. That is what they know. It's not. I don't think you can blame the.
I want to address because I want to address their points.
Yeah, I don't feel like is a lawyer.
I'm a lawyer. You understand?
They basically act. Sometimes they act on ignorance. You disagree. They say that sometimes they want to live their lives through their children. It's both. And to be honest, ignorance is not bad. Sometimes ignorance is not bad. Sometimes ignorance, there's a saying, ignorance is bliss. So most parents do not know the good that can come out of being in the creative industry. I'll call them ignorant. It doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's not an insult. They just don't know any better. So, and most parents don't even accept the fact that their children can actually know more or know more about a particular field, a particular topic, a particular direction.
Yeah, because, sorry to cut you, basically because of the environment.
Yes.
Them growing up, there was nothing like all this camera rolling, all these things. They were not feeling it. NTA was nonsense. I don't understand. Let's be realistic.
I don't believe we should use the word. I don't think we should use the word ignorance.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I just feel like it's just the environment.
Well, you guys, we're talking about career paths, and that's great. What about, okay, but saying ignorance. One of the biggest problems that I had personally with my mother was sex education.
Yeah.
The only thing that my mother told, like, let me now tell you what she told me. If you talk to a boy, you will get pregnant. And if you get pregnant, I'm going to send you to the village and you go and
But funny enough, from my own path, what my mom told me was a joke. What my mom told me.
She was not joking.
Listen, what my mom told me, because me, I don't know, I think a little bit I was a bit spoiled. So when she saw me talking to women and all of that, she was like, yo, towards the shop, if you towards the follow you, just bring her home. That means once you just get her pregnant, just come home.
Tell a child that.
So for me, I'm like, I have permission. So yeah.
You will never ever tell your sister that.
That's just how.
The same thing. My aunt said that please don't go out and have sex with any boy. If you're going to have sex, use protection. If you don't use protection, you get pregnant. Please bring the child home. I'll take care of the child. And she's not saying this because she wants surplus children. She wants a lot of children to take care of. She's saying it because she doesn't want you to go out.
But did she even have that conversation with you? Like, oh, this is what sex is. A lot of us actually had to go out and find out.
So that's where ignorance comes in. Because most of them don't even know how to have a conversation. Yeah. Because most of them don't even know the conversation to have. I think I would do that differently. I would probably educate my child, my daughter, my son. I would be their friend. I let them understand the consequences of having an unwanted pregnancy, impregnating a girl that you don't want the child yet, you understand this. So I think I'll just educate them with that and they would understand that moving forward, basically.
You're going too far. What about the relationship with females and men, like your child being like already matured at 14, because I can understand like at 14, like I knew I had an ass and my ass was standard.
Okay.
Like, no, really, my ass was standard, and I did not. My mom didn't tell me about pedophiles, but I had pedophiles flock. It's so bad because now I'm in my child.
When you think about it,
pedo. And my dad would be like telling my mom that this girl will get pregnant before she finishes school, and I'm like, wait, nobody has told me sex education. But the only thing my mom told me was that if your dad, your brother, or anyone touches you, tell me. She'll flip. She doesn't care. That's what she told me. And she kept on saying, your dad, your brother, anyone outside without your permission. And every time my dad heard her say, if anyone touches you outside, she'll tell her, are you mad? What about her? What is she wearing? What is she doing this? Why should she be this mature? Why should I be? But that is something that happens. To be honest, we all would have the mental. Let's not lie. Literally, if we find out that our female child is growing too much breast, you start protecting. Oh yeah, cover yourself. Cover. Cover. The men who cover.
When it comes to sex education, see, whether we want to admit it or not, so many people in our generation were molested because they didn't have this. Nobody spoke to us. We didn't have these conversations with our parents, so we were just basically, going with the wind.
I'm not a parent, but let's. I'm not a father. No. So for the men's side,
talk about the fact that
for the men's side, I talked about my dad before, and my dad had his own part in my life. My mom had her own part. My mom's part was being the only boy. There's some certain things I couldn't do around my sisters. Like, first of all, I can't sleep off in my sister's room. I literally was always by myself. Like, I had my own room. If I go to the toilet,
even as a younger child.
Sorry to cut you. I'm trying to relate your story. This thing it legit happened to me myself. I was always locked. I felt like, because I didn't want, like, every time I have so many aunties around and it's just my mom and aunties. Do you understand? So it was just women.
You're a tiger.
Do you get? Once I get the food, I'll just take it. Once I'm done eating, I just go and drop it in the kitchen. Anybody that likes, if anybody wants to wash it, but if they don't want to wash, my mom will come, shout. I'll be like, there are plenty women in the house.
Yeah,
so I had that. I was a bit. I can say that I was a bit like in my shell as well. Like I was just by myself. I was not trying to, so that I will not turn to another thing.
Do you think that has affected your sex life
positively,
now?
negatively? No.
Well, you said one time that if you get up from the bed after sex, you should lay it.
No, that's another thing.
That's a different thing.
That's contrary to what they say.
Yeah. That's a different thing. I'm just trying to ride on what he was saying.
Let me tell you for a fact. That's why a fact, hands down. The example that I gave, when my dad told me that, and I'm not going to lie, I was approached by bare niggas growing up, and because I had no idea, my mom did. Even when I started my the day I started my it was a Sunday, and mom said I'd already gone to church. I was supposed to just go and meet her there. And then I started my men's. I didn't even know what it was. I was so scared. And she came back home and I was like, oh, mommy, this is what happened. She's like, that's why you not come to church. I was just like, okay. And I just moved on with it. When it comes to like this sex thing, especially with mothers, it's really like, in Nigeria, it's really bad. It's like so many things that you pick up from like movies. You don't know what is right. They just put the fear of the Lord in you or whatever it is. And just try to make you scared. And that makes you takes you to the point where you actually make bad decisions. And I know that I made a lot of bad decisions because I didn't know what I was doing. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Can I just say something? Because I don't want to blame parents. I actually grew up in a very liberal family. And I grew up in England as well. So when you're in year 5 in primary 5, they already sent a letter home that they're going to teach you sex education. And my parents wanted me to learn from home first. So they sat down. My dad did the whole, have you heard about the birds and the bees? And like gave me the whole talk. So my parents did that. But then I brought up my younger sister today, and I have a younger sister, and even as I am now, to bring up sex with her is awkward.
How is it awkward?
I don't know why.
If any parent is watching this now, even if it is awkward, you have to do it.
You know, there's no right time. Shaitan is saying that there is a right time. How can there be a right time when every child grows up differently? I can mature at the age of 7, another child can mature at the age of 10. There is no right time, so I don't understand. I decided to sit back and not get involved in this conversation. But you said something that confused me because I did not understand. Now you said that's an excuse for bad parenting. Now, that terminology confuses me because who are you to tell us what is bad parenting or good parenting? Do you have a child?
I don't need to have a child.
So next time you need fine. Next time, what you should say is, in my opinion, that's an excuse for bad parenting. But don't say it as if it's a fact, because it's not. Because we're dealing with facts, right? Yeah. That's what we're talking about over here.
So basically, to add to the whole, to the whole topic of sexual education, talking to your offspring. Firstly, no one told me anything. I had older siblings, so I was able to pick up, one or two things from them. When it comes to the actual conversation that, okay, this, no one had that conversation with me. Probably when you're watching TV, you pick up one or two things from, the flick or whatever you're watching. But I'm just grateful that our generation is more, let me put, woke. We're not going to be archaic. We're not going to be, we're not going to be shy. For like you were saying, you're not boiled enough to have that conversation with your 13-year-old sister. I think it's something you should eventually,
Once you've gone through as a child, and we're getting to that stage where we're going to be parents, right? When is the right time to tell your child about sex? This is a question that
there is no right time.
There's a right time.
There is no right time.
What do you mean there's no right time?
I will tell you why.
I was like 9 years old.
Excuse me.
There are people that are having sex at 9. There are people that even pedophiles. Let me I don't even want to even wait.
You're digressing.
I'm not digressing. I want to buttress my point. Can I finish? Let me ask the question and you answer it when I'm done. Let me finish.
But you are done.
We'll keep going back and forth and we can do this.
I can do it with you.
Okay, so now for example, because you said that there's no right time. There's so many people, and if you like admit, don't admit, there's so many people in our generation in Nigeria that were molested. I was molested as a child. And because I did not know what I was doing, I did not know what it was. Old. Please, Seth.
Okay, so when we just start educating our children when they're 1 month old, that's what I mean that there's no right time.
Can I finish?
Not put a time. You're not.
Let me finish.
You're saying don't make sense.
It makes sense.
In my opinion.
In my opinion. In your opinion,
I'm allowed to have an opinion.
And you can have your opinion.
And I feel like it makes no sense.
Were you molested as a child?
I don't think I was.
I don't think so.
Are you telling me to shut up?
Yes.
Because I have an opinion?
No,
I'm
talking about being molested as a child.
Yes, but then when you asked a question and I'm answering your question, excuse me, you said, when is the right time? And I said, there is no right time. In your opinion,
I need to start having these conversations because we keep pushing it to the back. Pushing it. The right time is as soon as your child knows what sex is. As soon as you can have a conversation with your child. You don't have to say you are fucking. You have to be able to know how to say this means this. 4 or 5 year olds, they already know what it is. What are you saying?
Somebody said something about 3 months.
There's always a right time. What I'm trying to say is you need to figure out what works for your child. That is the right time. You have to be able to see when they can comprehend so that you can have such conversations with them. Simple.
You guys, please let me just finish what I'm saying first before anybody answers me. I understand
20 seconds.
that it is really hard for you to talk to a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old about sex, but the truth of the matter is that there are niggas out there that are just pedophiles, that are just predators, and they're going to prey on your 5-year-old child, and they won't say anything to you because they don't know what the fuck the man is doing in the first place. But if you talk to your child about sex, then they can come to you and say, oh, mommy, this man tried to do this to me, or they can even refuse it when the man tries to do it. But when they don't even know what's happened, they'll say, oh, I don't know, he just touched me there, and you haven't spoken to your child about it. So do you now think that it's something that you would not talk to your child about because it's so inconvenient.
So, but how far do you go? Okay, there's a difference between saying, don't let any man touch your no-no, don't let any man touch you here. If he does, let me know. How far into sex are you going with it? 5-year-old?
That's fine.
That's fine. That's fine. Good enough. That's what you say. Good enough.
Like I said, you need to understand the child you're speaking to. Some children can come to you at 5 and say, "Mom, what about this? Can you tell me?" They can come and meet you at 8, at 11. Some children are more reserved. Some children are not even exposed to sex as the other children. So it's as soon as your child can comprehend what it is. It can be any time your child comes to you. Your child needs to know.
What does that mean?
I think that's why.
I think that means that there's no right time.
No right time.
Yeah, going back to
Oh my God.
So that means.
Now we're going to discuss. I mean, we clearly the way we were raised has some effect on us.
Yeah.
On the way we speak, the way we relate with people, our relationships, the way we shout, the way we engage with life.
It's home training.
And we all understand that we can't truly blame.
I don't even think that personal like principles or whatever has to do with like home training. I believe it's your
As a
own form
person,
of, like, values. To be honest, nothing like where is your home training? Like
training,
you're
that's
rude.
You
Yes,
can't build home training.
yes, you are just naturally rude.
I just said to you that
The way that your man can tell you
affects you. I've met friends that
what are you
jokingly,
and they affect them.
Because that's where they grew up.
Yes, now joking. Yes,
I was saying,
young children can affect who you are.
honestly, affect you.
so we are going to now, each of us, discuss or just quickly in 30 seconds what we're going to do differently that is not going to like harm our child mentally, physically, and socially. And we're going to start with Folake here.
Okay, so I feel like when it comes to parenting, it's important to show your child love. I feel like it's about the individual. So I feel like the parents need to look into themselves the same way I need to look into myself. You know, I need to look into myself. And if I'm not feeling love, I should need to know that I need to show my child love. Okay? The same way with the sex thing. If I feel awkward about sex, I need to talk to myself and know that this is not a topic that I should feel awkward about. I need to discuss this with the child in order for them to grow up in the right way.
Okay.
That's about the sex thing, about parenting and everything. I mean, I grew up with love and everything. I couldn't relate. I feel like this topic came from like the Wale Red Table Talk, and I couldn't relate with him when it came to I love you. There's always been that in my family, affection and everything. So that's not something I can relate to. But when it comes to the sex thing, I do relate with that.
What's your thoughts?
I would say I would agree for like I would show my kids. I know what it is to not feel love, and I know what it is to eventually feel love, and I can tell the difference. I mean, from while I was growing up, I understand that I don't think I would have been that much of an introvert if I felt loved. I'm not saying my aunt didn't love me, but I probably just didn't feel it because she wasn't my mom. And that's another thing I'm going to do differently. I'll try as much as possible to not let my kids grow up at such a young age in another home. I'm going to show my children as much love as I can muster. Plus, talking to my kids about sex can be inconvenient, but I'm going to have to do it because I know how men are moving. Men are moving mad these days.
Okay. Yeah, move mad.
Women are even moving mad.
Women are moving mad.
Man. So there's a popular Yoruba saying that goes, you use one hand to beat a child, you're going to use one hand to also draw the child closely to you, lovingly, which basically means, you're going to have to do both of them in moderation. As you discipline your child, you also have to love your child.
Sounds like an abusive relationship.
Not an abusive relationship. But, that aside, when it comes to sexual education, when it comes to sex education to your offspring, you're going to know that you should have decided with your partner that, okay, at a certain age, we're going to have this conversation with our child, no hold bars. Let the child know that, okay, this is different from this. And at the end of the day, let's just pray to God for guidance. That's it.
I like that.
OD,
the man.
You saying? At the end of the day, in my opinion, there's no such thing. I think I mentioned it. There's no such thing as a perfect parent. And I understand what maybe everybody else has been through, but I'm very happy. And I just want to say that if I can be half the parent that my parents were to me, I will be very happy. And that's all I have to say about that.
Nice one, bro.
Okay.
So Shaitan.
Oh, Dima, you're not saying.
He's gonna end the wrap up.
Oh, right. Okay. So basically, I mean, I felt like because we're talking about a lot of negative things, I just wanted to just clear up. Like, my mom was an amazing mom as well, and like, let me not lie. Even some of the beating that I received growing up, I understand you, mom. See, you have used care to break my head. I've broken it on my head before. So I get that. And I appreciate her for that. But then there's certain things like communication. Don't just assume, or don't just say, you're a child, you cannot understand. Children are getting smarter and wiser every day. Talk to your child. Your child is not dumb. Do you understand? Have conversations. When it comes to sex education, the same thing, communication as well. And the last thing is when it comes to career path or whatever it is your child wants to do, pay attention to what interests that child. Try and find out what makes that child tick and embrace it. You don't know what is going to be around in the next 10, 20, 30 years. Embrace your child for what your child is. And that's basically what I had to say about that.
Yeah, so I don't believe in ignorant parents. I just feel like that's like an excuse for bad parenting. I mean, there's always, if there's no ignorance, there's room to learn, right? And they had the chances to learn about their children, get to know them, take the stress out to understand them. That will curb like half of the issues that we are facing today, right? You go out, your father sees you talking to a man and you gave him his number, yet he hasn't talked about sex to you. You still have to go and beat the idiot, like the pedophile, they are beating you at home. Yes, because you're talking to a man. There's no understanding, there's no communication. There's no trust. There's no basis of a relationship. It's just mother, child, father, daughter. Yeah, let's talk. Let's understand each other. Take the pain to understand. I'm your child. You have to understand me. This thing is just based on understanding and love. Finish.
All right. Okay.
I don't think there's anything I would. Is it change or what's it?
I don't think there's anything I would do differently because growing up for me was all love. Hearing all of these experiences and hearing people's experience about their parents, I think I was a lucky guy because communication and everything was 100% for me. My dad understood everything, maybe because he lived in the UK before he came to Nigeria. I think that works too. And I feel if I'm going to change anything, it would have to be from my mom's side. My mom she never made us free. So I feel like if I was going to like change anything, I would love my mom to have been free and allow us to do whatever I had to do. Right. Yeah.
Okay, basically, I think that there was something OD said earlier, which was there's a thin line. You have to understand the line between discipline and punishment. So I think by God's grace, when we're raising our children, we need to understand that. You get, even though we can't punish, we need to just let them understand discipline and not punishment. You get. So, and with sex education, I think that God should just really give us the grace, and we need to, because it's not easy, man. You get. God needs to give us grace, and we need to communicate. I think I will make my child my guy, my daughter my guy. Like we'll be friends. Oh yeah, what's happening? So we know how it's going.
So, want to hear it.
So for me, I wouldn't change.
From your daughter.
No, once a year.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, my mother pretty much did all the raising for me, and my dad just did like all the supervision. I was raised in the kitchen to do all the things they say are the women duties because fam, they're all survival skills for human beings. There's a thin line between punishment and discipline. OD's line, very, very important. Most parents and us in this generation need to understand that beat your child, love your child. That was my mother's motto. She flogged us mercilessly, but as we were crying, she cuddled us and gave us Milo until we slept. And we woke up.
Milo Alberto.
So, when it comes to sex, my parents spoke to me about it the moment they found out I was watching porn.
They caught you.
I left the browser open. They was like, I can only be this boy. So they spoke to me about it, and it's very important. And one thing I'll address, because you said that for you, chasing women was if you get her pregnant, bring her home, which means they didn't tell you no, they didn't tell you stop.
Yeah,
I will not give my son that kind of liberty.
Yeah.
To be honest, because we have a lot of boys in our own age who are just sex crazed and they think it's okay.
Well, what?
It's not sex crazed. excited about just chase sex. It's not okay for us guys also. The same way we tell girls, protect yourselves, guys, protect yourselves.
Yeah, I agree.
Simple. And
on
that's Nigerian parents stereotyping. We're not trying to say we all love our parents, we all love you guys, we do. I love you, mommy.
My parents are the best.
But we'll do things slightly differently so that we're all not all messed up.
I'm very happy where I am. I'm not messed up. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Currently, 3, 2, 1, action.
So disclaimer, because we're not parents.
I was failing, I was flunking because it was my first year in a mixed school, seeing girls, it got all in my head. So, you know, when I came back, as I said, my results were red bar. So
you can't say, I'm never going to beat my child. What if you need a child? What if you get a child that needs beating? If you get a child that needs beating, you're going to beat them.